will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God.
I do, sir.
Thank you. As someone with deep roots in my home state of Hawaii, I know that you bring the spirit of aloha, which will serve you well if confirmed by the Senate. As part of the newest generation of veterans, Ms. Duckworth continues to triumph over obstacles in her way. She demonstrates on a daily basis the strength and courage that marks the best of this new class of American service members. In many respects, the Assistant Secretary for Public and Intergovernmental Affairs is a public face of VA. When there is good news to be shared, this person advises and represents the Secretary. When there is unpleasant news for which VA must take responsibility, and we all know that there will be, this is the person who must step forward and make every effort to be open and honest with the public. There must be trust and confidence in VA if it is to serve the veterans effectively.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and aloha nui loa. And Ranking Member Burr and distinguished members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to come before you today. I am deeply honored and humbled that President Obama has given me this opportunity to serve our nation's veterans. Since my time at Walter Reed, when this committee first called on me to testify while I was still a patient on behalf of my fellow wounded warriors, I have been privileged to answer your questions and assist you in caring for our brave military men and women. I plan on continuing this important partnership with you in my new role at the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, should I be confirmed. A significant part of my duties will be to transform the public affairs function at the Department of Veterans Affairs to fulfill President Obama's and Secretary Shinseki's commitment to a 21st century agency with candor, transparency, and integrity. Not only will we be responsive to this committee's concerns, we will also be proactive in communicating with you and with our veterans.
I certainly appreciate the enthusiasm, creativity that you will be bringing to your new position if you are confirmed by the Senate. In your appearances before this committee and in other public forums, you have sometimes been critical of VA. In your new position, you will be called on to defend VA when others express their criticism. How will you handle this situation?
Sir, I plan on approaching my job with the utmost level of transparency and accessibility. One of the great frustrations I had as a state director or someone from outside the VA organization was that complete opaqueness. Oftentimes, when I wanted information or when I asked simple questions, I couldn't get the answer. And I think that's one of the great criticisms, and that was certainly something that I had, which was just tell me what I'm asking so that I can go about the business of helping veterans. And I know that's a great frustration. And so I hope to approach my job with openness, transparency, and just being always available to ask questions. And if I don't know the answer, I'm going to tell you I don't know the answer. I'm certainly not going to hide that, but I'm going to get back to you, do the research, and get that information back out.
Thank you for that response. I am aware of many initiatives that states have undertaken to address the needs of veteran residents. And I know that you have said that coordination and outreach to the states will be one of your top priorities. Do you have specific ideas, for example, for ways in which the states and federal agencies can collaborate to address the needs of veterans with TBI or PTSD?
Yes, sir. In Illinois, we started the Illinois Warrior Assistance Program, and that was out of the recognition that so many of Illinois' veterans who deployed were National Guardsmen and reservists who did not live near a large military installation like in many other states, and that once they came home, they then would return to very rural communities who were far away from the nearest installation. So with the Illinois Warrior Assistance Program, we access our local network of mental health providers, and we partnered with actually non-governmental organizations, the Illinois Brain Injury Association and the Rehabilitation Institute of Chicago, and developed a teaching program on military-caused trauma, brain trauma, and PTSD that we then implemented to the network of local providers across the state. So under the Illinois Warrior Assistance Program, the service member who either does not want to go to a federal facility or who lives more than 1 hour's drive, 75 miles, or has to wait more than 3 weeks for an appointment with the VA will get full access to care from his local provider who has been trained on military trauma. And so it's that partnership between state government, between not-for-profit organizations like the Illinois Brain Injury Association, and then also with non-governmental entities like the Rehabilitation Institute of Chicago coming together to reach out and have those services. And then we advertised it through partnerships not just with our own offices, but with county organizations, with veteran service organizations. Sometimes the first word of advice a young vet gets occurs when he walks into the local VFW post and talks to a Vietnam veteran. And so part of my job will be to make sure we have those partnerships across all of the organizations that are interested in caring for vets.
Major Duckworth, in responses to my pre-hearing questions, you indicated an interest in looking at improved ways of communicating with this newest generation of veterans. Could you please describe in more detail what you envision?
Yes, sir. The VA does some things very well. It does a great job, a wonderful job of sending out newsletters, monthly publications, taping video messages that get played on Armed Forces channels, those very traditional methods of reaching World War II, Korean War vets. The largest population of internet users among the veterans community is actually Vietnam veterans. And I would like to see the VA move forward in that realm of the internet, Facebook pages, blogs, social networking sites, accessing our partners in the veteran service organization community, and just getting the word out. So accessing non-traditional media, basically going to where the vets live, work, and play. You know, if in the military, recruiting has moved towards getting NASCAR and blogs and video games, and well, that's because that's effective. The VA needs to think along the same lines in terms of reaching our veterans where they live and where their family members live, because often, the other group that often gets the information to the veteran is his family members.
Thank you very much.
This is a rare opportunity to be part of the appointment of someone of real quality who can serve this nation as she has so many times before. She was born into a military tradition. She's the daughter of a Marine. She's a second-generation Purple Heart recipient in her family. After completing his service, Tammy's father worked for the United Nations. Tammy spent her childhood, much of it growing up in Southeast Asia, before arriving in Hawaii at the age of 16.
I have 6 members of I call them my family, but they're my friends who are here with me, starting with Colonel Michael Yap from good friends from Hawaii originally, and he and his wife started visiting me at Walter Reed right when I was first injured. Colonel retired. I have also Mr. Tom Porter, Korean War veteran, started visiting me before I even woke up from my medically induced coma at Walter Reed, double amputee, and he's there to tell the troops at Walter Reed every single Tuesday and Thursday without fail that life goes on.